course.
Let's go to Parliament and speak to Dr. James Klutse Avedzi. He is the Deputy Minority Leader. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
I hope you're well, Doc.
Yes, I'm doing well.
Well, Doc, let's start from what happened in Parliament yesterday. For a lot of people, that is an approval of the budget. Is that accurate?
No. Thank you very much once again. Let me just break it down. Budget is titled Economic Policy and Financial Statement of Government. So basically, the budget is made up of two components. We have the policy of government that underpins the budget, and then also the estimates, or let's put it in simple terms, the revenue that government wants to raise, and then as well as the expenditure for the year 2023. So what happened yesterday was the approval of the economic policies of government. The second stage will be the approval of the estimates for the various ministries and departments. After all the ministry and department budgets or estimates are approved, the Ministry of Finance will put all the numbers together and raise a bill or prepare a bill, which is the appropriation bill, introduce that bill to Parliament. Parliament will then take the bill through the various stages. That is first reading, second reading, consideration stage, and third reading. Then to pass into law. That law will then empower the Ministry of Finance, or for that matter, executive, to draw money from the consolidated fund to meet the expenditures. So that is appropriation. Then all the revenue measures that the budget is introducing, bills will be introduced in Parliament. That will also go through all the stages to pass into law so that the government can collect the revenue. So what happened yesterday is the approval of the policy, but we as a minority have problem with some of the policies of government. For instance, introduction of or additional VAT of 2.5%. We are against it. So minority leader yesterday, in summing up the debate, raised those issues. Now when we come to the specific laws or the bills that will be coming from the ministry into Parliament, we will raise our concerns and we will make our amendment or proposal. If our proposals go through, it means that what is being introduced will not carry, and that, for that matter, it will affect the total revenue that has been estimated. So the public should not think that the budget has been approved. It's the economic policies that have been approved yesterday. In fact, we have issues with some of the policies, but we cannot say that we are rejecting the budget completely. There are portions of policies that we think that are okay. For instance, the reintroduction of the road tolls. At the time that they stopped the collection last year, we spoke against it. That is one of the avenues that government can raise revenue. So if they are reintroducing it, should we kick against it? I don't think the answer will be yes. So we are in support of some of the policies, and we are against some of the policies. And those that we are against are the VAT, the E-levy. Our position has not changed because we think that it's not a good revenue line for government. So we are still against it. Also, the government policy on debt structuring, our leader spoke about it yesterday. We are against it. And then the government now taking over the construction of the Cathedral by allocation of 80 million Ghana cedis under the Ministry of Tourism to control the Cathedral. So those are the areas that we have a different view or disagree with government. And when we come to those specific bills before the Parliament, our position is that we are opposing them. So simple put, yes, the economic policies have been approved, but not the entire budget that has been approved because the appropriation bill has not been passed yet, and the revenue bills have also not been passed.
Let me admit that I felt listening to the voice votes that the noes had the voice votes. So if you had an issue with the budget, the listener I expected when the speaker said, I think the ayes have it. From the explanation that some of your colleagues have given me over and over again, you could have stood up and challenged the decision of the speaker. The fact that you did not challenge it, does that mean you agree that the ayes had it?
Well, decisions in Parliament are taken mostly by voice votes. And if you are not satisfied with the decision of the result declared by the speaker, you challenge it. So one will look at it from that angle, that once you do not challenge it, it means that you have accepted. As I said, that we are not against some of the policies in terms of revenue generation. We are against some. Those that we are against, we show it. So if the speaker says the yes have it, and you say no, you are challenging it, it means that even those things that you are not against, by challenging the result to quash or to defeat this motion, it means that you are even against your own position that says that you are against some of the policy. You are in favor of some of the policies. So again, also, as leaders, we do a lot of work when we sit in the chamber there. At the time that the vote was taken yesterday, they were more than us. We were more than the minority. So even if you challenge it, you will not win. So why do you want to challenge it? So these are the things that people don't know how it is done. But we who sit in the chamber, who do a lot of things, know that this is the position. If we challenge it yesterday, we will not win, assuming that all of them are in the house yesterday. To be 138. But we knew that yesterday Ajua was not there. So at least they were 137, assuming that all of them were there. Even though the number we had, they were not up to that. We also did not have our 136. Don't forget that one of our members, Asinov, the Supreme Court ruling will not allow him to vote. So we are 136, technically or legally. Now, if all of us are also present yesterday, it means that we will have 136 against their 137. We will still not win. That is the point. So we put a lot of factors into consideration before we take decision. So what we see publicly is just the surface of a lot of thinking, a lot of work that go into decisions that we take in Parliament.
So, because I recall, I think, I don't know if I saw you there, at the press conference on Monday, your whip talked about 3 processes that you still had. And of course, you mentioned it yourself, the estimates and then, of course, appropriation. I recall from last year, you were able to hold up the E-levy bill for at least 3 months. Is that to say that for all those other items you disagree with, if they do not make the changes perhaps you propose, you do the same thing?
Yes, so yes, it's the same thing we are going to do like we did for the E-levy. You give a good example. Last year, when we rejected the entire budget, the policy, they came back and restored it. Then we went to court. The court really didn't favor us. But we went ahead and worked on the estimate. When it came to the E-levy bill, we all saw it. We were able to hold it because we said we will vote. So as we are saying, we have indicated to them that we are not in favor of the VAT, we are not in favor of the E-levy, we are not in favor of certain things. So when we come to those specific areas, you will see us opposing them like we did as we did to E-levy. So yes, that is what will happen again.
And also, would that also include the planned expenditure? Because look, you understand this better than I do. You are somebody who is well versed in finance. The proposed expenditure, which would actually mean that we'll have to find some extra over 60 billion cedis, which is not accounted for within the budget alone, is a huge issue that a lot of people have raised problems with. That expenditure does not make sense. Even the revenue targets and everything do not add up. So will all this be under scrutiny during the process, including what they intend to spend and where where they are spending those monies.
Yes, that will come under when we are looking at the estimate for the various ministries, and then also when the appropriation bill is introduced. Now, they have planned to spend about 227 billion Ghana cedis, and they plan to raise 143.9, so let's say 144 billion. There's a difference of about 82 or 83 billion Ghana cedis. So the borrowing, which we call the financing itself is going to be 83 billion Ghana cedis, which according to the budget is coming directly from the foreign financing. They plan that they will not do any borrowing in 2023 from the domestic source, but they will do the borrowing from the foreign source. So we have an issue with that also, that look, if you say that you want to work on debt sustainability, our debt level now is such that it's not sustainable. You are working towards bringing it to a sustainable level. Why do you still want to borrow over 83 billion Ghana cedis? So we have an issue with that also. So each of the items that is coming to the house, for instance, the 80 billion for Cathedral is part of the 227 billion they want to spend. Shouldn't we remove that one and drop it? They've increased contingency line from 900 million to 1.4 billion. Is that something that can be reduced? So when we come to the specific items in the appropriation bill, we will point those issues out for them to give us justification, because there are some of the items that we don't have complete justification for yet. For instance, there is one item in the budget that is a debt management, about 47 billion Ghana cedis. What is a debt management? When the report from the Finance Committee on other government obligation comes, we will want them to give a justification for that debt management, what it entails. So there are some items, expenditure items, that will come, we'll query them for better explanation. If the explanations are satisfactory, yes, they want to spend 227 billion, we'll give it to them. How you raise that money, you give us indication that you raise 144 from domestic source, and then you borrow 83 billion. Will that make the debt sustainable? So we'll point all these issues out for Ghanaians to know, for the government to know. If they still think that we should go ahead, then it means that government effort towards debt sustainability will not work. The problem, the challenges we are facing will continue. Those savings that they are making, that in terms of employment, yes, they will have some effect on them, but those effects will not be significant enough to ensure that the borrowing level drop. So we'll raise those issues when we come to the appropriation bill.
And Doc, I haven't taken your views on the budget itself, but I know you are, from what I understand, you are a fairly senior accounting professional.
Yes.
Do the numbers make sense to you?
Not at all. It's what I just explained. That you want to bring the debt level to a level that will make it sustainable. Yet in the same budget, you are borrowing over 83 billion Ghana cedis. That cannot make the debt sustainable. So the budget do not make sense. Let me put it this way. It doesn't make sense, the numbers. So for the numbers to work towards bringing the debt to a level that is sustainable, some expenditure items must be cut. The borrowing definitely must reduce. Once you reduce the expenditure, you will not borrow to that much level. So it means that effort will make you bring the debt to a level that will be sustainable. But as it is in the budget, the numbers don't make sense because it's too ambitious. In fact, even the 144 billion Ghana cedis that they claim they will raise in terms of revenue, it's not achievable. They cannot achieve it.
And before I let you go, but first let me ask you: when will the committees get to work? Will they do that before you break for Christmas?
Yes, in fact, we have to pass appropriation bill or revenue bills. We have to pass them into law before we will break for Christmas, so that from January, government can start drawing from the consolidated fund. Government can start implementing the new revenue measures. We have to do all those things. We don't have actually time. We don't have time. I'm told that the estimates are in now, so the committee have started sitting. We hope that the whole of next week will be for the committee's report to be considered.
Well, let me read to you two messages from people who are watching us.
Okay.
This is Nilati. Says, how can you accept a budget from a finance minister you have accused of not performing and is corrupt? I think this is basically for your side and for the other side too.
Yeah, okay, that's a legitimate question. The budget is presented on behalf of the president. So the budget is not for the finance minister. It is for the government. If you read Article 179 of the Constitution, it is clear that the president shall cause to be prepared revenue of an estimate for the ensuing financial year. The finance minister is the one that came to present it, but the budget is for the government. In fact, any other minister could present it. So yes, we have a problem with the finance minister, but because the budget is not for him, we have to work with the budget. There's another question that, look, if we said we will not work on the budget, and the budget is not approved by our constitution, January government will cease. No work will go on, workers will not be paid, nothing will go on as a country. The security services will not have any protection. Is that what we want? So just having a problem with the presenter of the budget statement is not an issue that we should consider and say we are not going to work on the budget. So we take all these factors into consideration before we take a decision to know what to do. The budget is for the president, it's not for the finance minister.
And then there's one coming from Maria Adams who started actually commenting on this before we even started talking about it. I'll jump a few parts, but she says, challenge and don't win. Is that not far better?
Challenge
and not win. Is that not far better? Which means she's questioning the process you undertook yesterday.
I think it's better. Because if you challenge, you are bringing the issues to be known. If you keep quiet, you don't challenge it, then you will not make your position known. But the challenge he's talking about are different levels. We challenge the budget. We voted no voice yesterday, and we think that is sufficient. If you say we should go, we know very well that we don't have the numbers to win, and so we should waste everybody's time to go through the process once we know that we're not going to win. Is that what we want? Yes, we have challenged it. We voted no against it, but we know that they are more than us, so they will go through. Now, voting no for it by voice is registering our displeasure to those areas, portions of the budget that we think are not proper. So yes, challenge and no win is better. But what kind of challenge are you talking about?
But since you are dependent on the estimates and appropriation stage, is that to say that the strategy that you adopt during that time will be different? That even when you know you do not have the numbers, you still take the risk?
It will still be the same. It's the same strategy. As I said, when we get to that point, we'll make proposals that we think that this particular revenue measure, they might even reason with us and said, I think that your proposal is good. Let's take it. Will that not be a positive move? Yes. We will get to that point. They will oppose everything of us. We will insist on voting. They will defeat us. Then that one, everybody will know that after making our proposals, they still did not support our positions. Ghanaians will know that, look, the minority have made an alternative position, but it was rejected. That is why we want to toe that line. It will not be different. It's the same thing because our numbers will not change. But we hope that maybe at one of the votings, one of the MPs or two might not be there. And then we'll surprise them. It's a strategy. It's a work that we do in Parliament. We monitor the numbers each minute to know. And then as we are monitoring, they are also monitoring the numbers. So it's a game that we play. Once you made a little mistake and your number is not up to the number, you'll be taken by surprise.
And I said that was the last one, but I recall that before I spoke to Dr. Amwakoba, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party, a political scientist, who says he says he has only one question to ask those of you in Parliament. Have you approved the loans you rejected, the ones which led to the communications minister virtually begging you on live national TV that you should reconsider? Have you approved them?
I don't know which of the loans that he's talking about.
Because he says there were 3 loans that were before you, and you rejected them.
I cannot recollect, actually. If you mention the titles of the loans, probably that will help me.
Okay. So I'm just looking at this. They said, so this is the story. It says the minority in Parliament has kicked against government requests for parliamentary approval for 3 loan agreements amounting to $500 million. This includes the request for $150 million for primary health care program, $200 million to finance the Ghana Digital Acceleration Project, and $150 million to support public finance management for service delivery.
No, we have not done that yet.
Okay.
We haven't done that yet. I remember the $150 million for the public financial management. We haven't done that yet. The 2, I'm not sure, but I'm sure once we've not done the public sector financial management, we have not done the other one too.
Okay. I'll be grateful if Doc can check and then get back to my producers on that.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Doc, for speaking to us this morning.
You're welcome.
Dr. James Klutse Avedzi is Deputy Minority Leader,